Hey guys, how you doing today? Really crazy windy day. Can you tell my hair's all floofy and ridiculous? I've been outside all day and it's a crazy windy day. So sorry if the sound quality is all like I'm going to do everything I can to make it not so. We got to talk about Biden's speech. I think Biden's speech is an important moment in American history for a lot of reasons, okay? First and foremost, there's a lot of acknowledgement that happens in this speech, right? If you haven't listened to it, Biden really, and I mean, in terms of the amount of views, way less people saw this speech than saw any of Donald Trump's speeches, right? It really is like the left has gone to sleep. That's my number one big concern when it comes to Joe Biden. And it is a strategy in the Democratic Party, without a shadow of a doubt, to put the left asleep. That the speech is clearly designed from start to finish to, while it acknowledges truths, while it tells the truth about things, while it updates what should have been being said in America for decades, right? It is a big deal that Joe Biden is acknowledging the reality of climate change, right? That's a big deal, right? It is actually a huge deal that he's acknowledging that America has fallen behind other nations like China, right? These are important things that he's saying, but he's saying it in order to kind of lull you into this sort of false sense of security that, oh, okay, Uncle Joe has a hold of it. Right? Uncle Joe had, and this is obviously the personality that they're trying to give Joe Biden, right? Good old Uncle, oh, you know, sure he says stupid things from time to time. Sure he inappropriately touches young girls all the time. Sure he gaffes and is kind of a bully, but oh, you know, but he's just Uncle Joe, right? Uncle Joe Biden. He has it in hand. There is a CIA tactic, right? There's a CIA tactic called controlled dissent, right? Where once it becomes obvious that you can no longer maintain the overt and obvious lies, right, that you have been maintaining. Oh, climate change, that's not a big deal. Oh, you know, oh, what are you talking about? Trickle-down economics. Completely works. You're the lazy one, right? Like, once it becomes obvious that these lies are grifts, and once the populace understands that they are grifts, the new strategy is to shift gears and acknowledge the truth, right? Once the truth becomes so blatant, so obvious that it has to be acknowledged, then you do. And you do it so that you can slide in other lies, right? So that you can control the shifting narrative, which when I watch the Biden speech, that's what I see. I see an organization that has written a script that acknowledges, like Biden says out loud as an American president, that trickle-down economics doesn't work, right? That is an enormous statement to make. It has been since Ronald Reagan. Trickle-down economics has been the prevailing ideology in America, right? You're talking about the 1980s, okay? It's 40 years. So it took 40 years for an American president to finally stand up and say decisively and unabashedly, trickle-down economics doesn't work. Does that mean they're going to change their policies? No. Does that mean they're going to do anything about climate change? No. Does that mean they're actually going to attempt to form long-lasting alliances and partnerships based on principles of peace with other nations? No. It means that they know what people want to hear. I say this all the time about our Liberal Party, right? The Liberal Party knows what people want to hear, right? They listen to polls, they listen to the information, they look at the evidence, they know what the citizenry is saying, they know what they want to hear, right? And this is Democrat policy 101, right? Like, well, this is politics 101, really, but like the Democrats are very, very good at it. That's Obama's entire administration. Obama was one of the worst presidents maybe in the history of the nation, right? He got basically nothing done. And the stuff that he did get done were so small and almost insignificant and piecemeal, like Obamacare is like this insignificantly tiny reform to an already calcifying and dead system. And that's like his big flowering achievement. But what else does he manage to do? He manages to expand the war on terror from 2 wars to 7. He manages to give Wall Street enormous bailouts, right? Manages to just entrench corporate interests. That's the Obama legacy, right? He basically got nothing done and was a dud president in many ways, but he made us all feel good about ourselves. He was effective by putting the left to sleep. Clinton did the same thing, by the way. Clinton had this real feel your pain way of talking, right? I feel your pain, right? Which he said out loud while simultaneously destroying the welfare system in America, right? Bill Clinton is responsible for more children being in poverty than anybody in maybe the history of the entire nation. And he did it while lulling the left to sleep, which this is exactly what Joe Biden is trying to do, right? Like, sure, yeah, we'll admit that climate change is real. Sure, yeah, we're not going to do anything about it. If you're one of these people that bounce out of these videos around now, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. We need leftist voices in the narrative, man. The right-wingers have taken over because they have all the money and they're able to push their agenda forward. We need people on the left actually calling out their bullshit, because it's total bullshit. Like all of this speech completely was, right? Like take for example, and you can already see how enormously full of crap the Biden administration is from the outset, right? Their declaration that they're ending the war in Afghanistan, right? We're going to end the war in Afghanistan, they say. No, they're not. They're not ending the war in Afghanistan. The second I heard that, I thought, no, that's nonsense. They're not going to do that, right? Afghanistan is too important a strategic military position for the death cult of capitalism that they're not going to give that up, right? They would give up other places before they gave up Afghanistan. What they're doing is they're privatizing the war, right? Instead of it being like publicly funded American military in there, they're just going to have mercenary groups in there, right? Formerly known as Blackwater, probably now Z. They probably changed that name too, because they keep changing the name the second the public comes to understand that they're a mercenary group. And they're just going to leave a mercenary group in there so that when they need to invade China, for example, when they need to invade Pakistan, when they need to funnel arms into any of those countries, when they need to funnel arms into India, right? They can do that from Afghanistan. Because Afghanistan touches like 7 borders. Like they're going to stay in Afghanistan forever. They're just trying to lull the left asleep, right? Joe Biden, that's his entire strategy with this speech. He's just lulling the left to sleep. Don't protest. Oh, we're doing something about that, right? We're doing something about that $15 minimum wage, we say, right? Why are you protesting? We're doing something about that minimum wage. We promise. We actually are. Because the last thing that the Democrats and the Biden administration want is for people to understand that politicians in America do not work for the benefit of the populace. They work for the benefit of a small cabal of death cultists who exist explicitly to destroy the society and take it for themselves. Like, you've even got Justin Trudeau outright admitting it. Like, Justin Trudeau is saying something like, oh, we live in a post-national world. So this is him claiming to have allegiance to some other forces beyond the people who elect him, right? Just think about how kind of perverse that is to say out loud in front of people that I, the elected leader of this group of people, elected to represent this group of people, and actually I have allegiances that are post-national, right? And what he means by that, and what Joe Biden means by any of this, is that they are going to cuddle up to corporate power. They are going to buddy up to the billionaire class the way they always have, the way that they always do, and they are going to abandon the rest of us. That's the objective. That's the structure of what they're doing, and they're admitting it to our faces. They're not hiding it. And just because that they acknowledge that there are problems and that they acknowledge that the problems are there does not mean they're interested in resolving those problems, right? Like, they are interested in controlling the dissent. They are interested in controlling the decline. They're not interested in resolving this because they know that to resolve it means that they have to confront the ownership class, the capitalist class. They know that to actually deal with climate change will require legitimate restructuring of how their society functions and what their society does. They're not going to do any of that. What they're going to do is they're going to position themselves and the ruling classes of these nations to remain in charge of a steadily growing, compliant, and sleepy nation, right? That Joe Biden is there to put them to sleep, which he's going to do, and then when we wake up, we're going to be in the friggin' Hunger Games, right? That's the goal, that when these guys watch the Hunger Games, they don't see it as an omen of a future that is possible for us. What they see is that, oh, it is better to be the ruler in this dystopian hellscape, clearly, than it is to be one of its victims, right? And they are going to do everything they can to position themselves that way. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that they rule in hell instead of serve in not even heaven. Serve in just like a normal society that hasn't gone crazy, right? And the danger of this, of course, the danger of taking anything Joe Biden actually says seriously, is that in a couple of years' time, people are going to look around them. They're going to look around. They're going to be like, hey, my life hasn't changed at all. I still work for a billionaire class that's actively attempting to murder me. I still work for a billionaire class that's literally making me waste my entire life so that I can have a stipend wage, right? Like, Joe Biden is standing up being like, yeah, we need to have a $15 minimum wage. What the hell are we fighting over a $15 minimum wage for? Like, what the hell are we fighting over the smallest, most meager? If the fight for 15 has taught anybody anything, it's that the political class in our nations are sociopaths, right? Standing up and saying a full-time job should pay for food and shelter, it shouldn't even, like, that should have been a given. People should have literally been like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Like, that should have been the response. Instead, the response is like, I don't want a burger flipper having enough money to live. Burger flippers should starve and die, right? Like, this is legit, like, on my own channel. When I put these videos up, like, conservatives come in, and the shit they say is the most sociopathic stuff you'll ever see, right? Like, I have one person who's outright, like, they're trying to play that old game of, like, oh, you want to be a welfare bum. And they'll literally say, oh, why do you think your society should... And this one guy actually said, oh, why do you think the province should support you? And it was phrased so, like, blatantly sociopathically that all I could say was, like, imagine living in a society and believing it shouldn't support you, right? Imagine believing that your society should not support you. Like, this is some bleak, dystopian, like, post-nuclear war type thinking, where we generally, like... We have people in our society who genuinely believe that the way to build a civil society is to abandon people. It's brutal. And Joe Biden standing up and doing a nice speech that acknowledges a lot of truth, that acknowledges a lot of realities that exist in the world, doesn't change that. And the Democrats are not going to do anything to help their people. They're not going to do a single goddamned thing to help their people. And when the people a few years from now wake up and realize that they've been fleeced yet again by yet another Democrat, guess who they're going to go running to? Yeah. Okay, guys, if you've made it to the end of this video, you have to like, you have to share, you have to subscribe. Those are the rules. I don't make them up. I just enforce them. If you want to give me a little bit of money, Patreon down below. A couple people have been giving me a little bit, $1 here and there. Even $1 helps, guys. Even $1 makes me feel good about myself, right? And helps you get more involved in the community, helps you support leftist voices. And boy, do we ever need support right now. These guys are spending billions of dollars to gaslight us. They are spending billions of dollars to control the dissent and to convince us that they are worth anything when they are worthless. And they spend billions of dollars to convince us otherwise. Under these circumstances, you're doing really great. You really are. I know you are. You're a divine being standing on divine energy. And we need some now. Good luck. We're gonna need it.